Hey everybody, and welcome to Derp Your Hooves, and I'm going to do kind of like a crash course, real quick video on the Reshade. I'm far from an expert. I'm still playing around with it myself, but um, this is the second time in several months that I've actually played with this program. And the first time I just, gave up on it. I mean, I just didn't have time to mess with it. And I did pretty much the same stuff. So it says it's only for Steam users, and I'm going to say we're going to go here, we're going to go to flightsim.to, and we're going to download this guy's file. So let's just, I was here, I typed in night vision, right? And it comes up with these four options, and I clicked on this one by Faint, and here's his stuff right here, right? And he's got all his thumbnails, and so it works. Don't get me wrong, it does work. I didn't have the best results right away. And you're also going to have to download the Reshade program, which is actually the program that does it. This is literally just, he's giving you some preset files and some other stuff. And I played with it before, it didn't work, and his instructions they weren't the best, unfortunately. Maybe Microsoft had shifted things. I know that for whatever reason, sometimes it's in different directories. I don't know why the programs do that, but so what I ended up doing was I went in and I downloaded it, and then his files were on there, and there was a big README file. I went through his README file, and it basically said what you want to do is you want to find the directory for your Steam apps directory. It's like the root directory of the Microsoft simulator. So I'll just save you the headache. And this is the path. So it's your PC. So it's your C drive, the x86 files, Steam apps, common Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's the path right there. So it's C, program files x86, Steam apps, common Microsoft Flight Simulator. So he gives you these three files. The MS, Microsoft Flight Simulator FLIR, the NVG green, and the white phosphor. And that's pretty much all you have to do is you take these files, these three files, and you drop them in here. And that's the first step of what you're going to do. You're going to download his files, grab these three files, and drop them in this root directory. Once they're in here, what you then want to do is you want to download Reshade. So I'll just close it and I'll do it again. It doesn't matter if I hop over there again. Reshade. And you click his link for Reshade, or you can just go to reshade.me and you download it. So it's going to download. Now it's important that you put the installer files in first, or the shader files in first, because I'm not going to relaunch it. But as it's launching, it basically asks you, there's like a question it asks you, like, do you want to use preset files? Now, if you go into his, the PDF that's included in there, it kind of covers it, and you kind of got to make heads or tails of it. It's totally, for whatever reason, is a different operation as of today. So I use it as a guideline, but it wasn't like, it was helpful, but it wasn't accurate. So maybe at one point it was, maybe now it's not. I don't know. So then you're stuck with, after you download the file or the Reshade program and you install it, it asks you, and like I'm saying, read as PDF. It asks you at one point, would you like to install preset files? And you can say yes, and I think it asked me for a path, and so I chose that path, the whole Steam apps, and it found them. And it installed them automatically. And that was great, but it also left something else to be desired. And I'm going to show you. I still got to do some tweaking. So we're going to go ahead and launch Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I'm going to sit here and babble on as it goes through. Right? Why not? So, you know, we're just going to go ahead and throw up that be right back. Yeah, well, that doesn't really even work. So, while this is loading, let's go over a couple things. So this is the first thing that's going to happen. If you don't have your presets and you got to set hotkeys to switch, you're going to get this. And this is what I'm talking about. It's going to blow your eyes out. So I have it set to the delete key because it seems that if I have the delete key, I can, because you're basically going to, there's going to be another thing that's going to ask you to join the game. What game do you want to set up Reshade for? And so it's going to be this one. And that's also, it asks you for the path to it. And so you need to find the path for your Microsoft Flight Simulator, which I believe is in there. So it's not like easy peasy. It takes a little bit of trial and error. And I'm sure there's way better tutorial videos than this. I'm just trying to give you like a crash course. So, I mean, if you want to, sit there and see what I'm talking about, you'll see. One of the things that happened to me when I loaded this out of the box, well, I mean, when I downloaded, I installed it, and I had set it up, was I had used this guy's preset files, and I'm just gonna say, the very first time I installed it months ago, it didn't work at all, and I had to do it 3 different times. And since then, I've done a complete clean reinstall of my system and reinstalled Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I had other reasons for doing that. So here we are, and we're on our screen, and so we're saying, well, we want to pick, let's pick a plane. So, the F-16 is fine. That's fine, right? So if I go to my hangar, right, and there's the Derpy Bolt F-16. So that's cool. We can use that. So let's go back and let's find a dark part of the world where I can just darken a different part of the world. Let's just do that. Let's just darken. Let's go to the desert. Right, let's go out here to the desert. Edwards is usually pretty dark. So is Southern California Logistics. Wait. Set it as parking. Oh, Derpy. Derpy pony. What you gonna do? So, I don't want to start out on the active runway. I want to set my departure there. And I want to hit fly. And then we're just going to wait for the sim to load on in. And so it's going to be daytime because we're using lifetime and weather and I didn't set the time. So we're going to go ahead and reset the time. Now obviously, so I bound this program to a hotkey. And it'll let you bind different hotkeys, turn it on, turn it off, switch effects and stuff. I set mine to the delete key because it seemed to be the only one that wasn't doing anything really in the sim. You're going to have to go in your controls and find a key that's not doing anything. So, that's, 1 o'clock in the morning is a good time to be flying at night. And so we start the jet cold and we turn it on. And so the settings are already off. I mean, here's our settings on the side where, this is our preset for my night vision. And I, completely modified it myself, and it's just way too bright. You can see that, and I'm clicking that and I'm turning it off and on with the delete key. It's just way too bright. So we're going to bring the levels down just a little bit, and I'm just going to kind of make some minor adjustments to what's there, and I'm going to share my settings with you. So I mean, you can always pause the video and make notes. so that if you decide to do it and you kind of like my settings, you can just go by the levels I have set on each effect. Because again, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to scroll through slowly as well. So this isn't the only chance that you're going to have to see the levels. Especially, I'm going to make a change because this is just too bright. And I'm going to show you that actually the different effects like Vibrance and Technicolor 2 and levels, and these levels seem to work for the night vision green, and you're going to have to set colors, so again, I have my red, my green, you can see right there on the monochrome, red's at 54, green's at 104, blue's at 18. It was trial and error, and it took me a long time to get these settings to where they are. And I'm going to tell you that I would advise that you go and you take screenshots or you jot down all of these settings, because I have noticed in the past, 4 flights that I've used this on, sometimes when you cycle through different settings, or like different forward looking infrared to whatever, and I'm just showing you right here, I take off some of the settings and it totally changes the tone, so you have to use multiple effects and tweak them. And you can see that if we turn off Technicolor, it gets darker, so it's not like blinding bright. And again, you'll notice that if like you're in the middle of the desert where it's dark out here, see, that's way too bright. It's like we're on the surface of the sun from the outside, but the canopy actually has a texture and it shades, and I figured all this out just by sitting in it. And so the F-16 has this like something with the glass, changes it. So if we take off Technicolor, then it darkens and it's better, but I'm still not sure if that's what I want. So I'm just going to go ahead and click them on and click them off a little bit. And you have to actually hit the home key to bring up that menu and to get rid of that menu. And again, be careful any changes you make, because you may drive yourself nuts trying to remember what the levels are. So, we're back on, our regular vision with our little, I guess, head flashlight strapped to our helmet or whatever it is in the sim. We're going to fire up the jet. And you're also going to see that the displays are incredibly bright with the night vision on, even after I make adjustments. So you can actually, in the F-16, you can turn off the 2 side displays. And you can even turn off the heads-up display if you like. And you can just fly the plane, old school with your gauges. But you're going to have to anyways. You're just going to have to, the HUD's going to be too blurry for you to see no matter how low you go. Because, again, this is an add-on, so even if you crank it all the way down, if you crank that heads-up display all the way down to next to nothing, it's just, it's still going to be blurry, so nothing you can do about it. And I'm just going through to kind of get rid of some fuel tanks and make some configuration changes to the plane itself before we go around and we poke around in these settings. And one thing that I feel, see, there's the night vision with one Technicolor off. So, but one thing that I feel is that almost like when you swap between the effect and then you go back to standard, and I'm not sure if it's just my eyes adjusting, but it's almost like the color's different for just a short period of time, and then it goes back to normal. And again, that could just be because, your eyes aren't supposed to be seeing this way. So you're jamming bright light into your eyes through your display. So I also don't know how good that is for your eyes or your display. So, here we go. It's the F-16, no lights on. Well, just going to do a pushback, and this is with one of the Technicolors turned off. And I forget which one it was. It was like the settings on the Technicolor 2 are brighter. I mean, you're really going to have to play around with this and learn it. Because it's just, it's not as simple as I have an effect, I turn it on, I turn it off. Once you get it set up the way you want it to, you can, assuming that it never loses its settings, but again, I noticed that that's just not so. So we put the Technicolor back on, and it's just way too bright. And I forget where I was flying, that it was this dark that I needed it. I mean, I don't even remember it being this dark the last time I was using it, which makes me even question if, when I launched Reshade, if it automatically changed levels all by itself. I mean, I don't know. But it does. All of a sudden, it did it to me once or twice, where it just dropped my preset that I had saved and totally wiped it out. So, anyhow, I'm just going to kind of turn around here on the parking apron or the tarmac and just kind of see what it's like in different phases of it. I mean, this is really just a really quick and dirty tutorial to help anyone who might need it. So, I mean, even though we have the night vision on a low setting, you can see that it's still really dark. And I mean, it's better than if we don't have it. But, I mean, the taxi light would be a little better than just this. So, I mean, this is purely for effect. It's not for anything else. So, I mean, there we go. I turned it back on, and I'm just, too bright. I mean, I'm looking around, and I'm going blind. And so if I turn that Technicolor off, I get dark. If I turn Technicolor 2 off, I lose the green. So, that's because I made color changes. And then you have your monochrome, which gives you like it gives you kind of like a blur in a way. And there's all kinds of other presets. You can force load other presets. You don't have to use mine. I'm just going to share mine with you, maybe to make the process faster for you. And so we're just going to tool down the ramp with everything on blind as a bat settings. As we tool past all the salvage jets here in Southern California logistics. I mean, look at that. The outside view. So you're seeing, inside the cockpit and outside, ooh. And that's actually something that's going to happen in this particular plane. I don't know why. You'd have to ask DC Designs if they did anything to the cockpit texture. I think they did. To the canopy texture. I mean, it was different in the 310 than it is in the F-16. So again, I'd have to say you're probably going to have to write your settings down or make many different settings. Like you can see it says second NV. That's my setting for the night vision. I made a copy of his and the levels were off and it reset them. And so I just called it second night vision so I could, not play with his. But I used his as a base because this is kind of what I got when I fired up. What you're looking at right here is almost what I got, similar to what I got when I fired it up. Just the levels didn't seem right. So, again, I'm not knocking him. I'm not saying he did a lousy job because it's not true. I'm just saying, for whatever reasons, the levels looked totally different on my display than they did on his screenshots. So, I mean, here we are, and we're on the runway, and we have one setting off, and if I turn it back on, now we're, going to blow our eyeballs out again. But we have no lights on, no taxi light, no landing light, no position lights, and you know, we can see the runway. We can see it, you know, clear as day. And let's just get up in the air and, you know, kind of set the autopilot and everything so that I can do this hands-free and not have to worry about plummeting into the ground while I'm playing with the shader file. And I'm going to say I highly recommend that you tweak it and make changes, you know, before you go on a very important flight. Just saying. And so here we are, and I'm just back in, you know, regular mode because, yeah, you know, it's like night vision. And when you click on things and these little buttons start glowing, then, yeah, you'll see. You can't read them with the night vision on. So I'm just setting this thing up for a nice cruise. Too much there, huh, Pony? We could cruise at 360. We could cruise slower than that. So, you know, again, I have none of the lights on. I got some ambient cockpit lighting on, and I haven't turned the displays down, which I could. And so here you go. So when we're out, you know, over the desert, the settings look okay. I mean, you can see everything. That's what you want, right? I mean, that's what you would want from night vision. You'd want to be able to see everything. But, again, you don't want it to be so bright that it's blinding you or that it's hurting your eyes. So, it says force load. You can force load more effects and add more effects and change them. That's what I ended up doing to get this. And I picked those effects. You check the boxes. And here's just some of my basic settings. You see, I'm just going to slide the Technicolor FX, the strength down a little bit. And it reduces some of that blinding glare. Right? So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. You got to tweak it to your liking. It's not one way or the other. It's just to your liking. And you don't even have to make it green. I mean, you could make it any color you want. And I just wanted to keep it kind of close to what night vision would be like. So, you know, and here's the outside of the plane. I toned it down. And now, you know, it's not as bad. And regular. And bright. And those lights off in the distance are city lights over the hills. So, and you'll get that with the night vision on. The closer you get to like cities and major populated areas, it'll just be bright balls of light if it's like a really major city. And everything's blurry. So, it's great for seeing in the dark. It's not so great if you're over really well lit populated areas. You know, it is what it is. You got to learn when to turn it off and when to have it on. But it will let you do certain things in the sim in total darkness without changing things from night to day. And so I'm actually going to say that I'm happy with these settings for now. They're good enough. I'll take them. You know, next time I fire up Reshade, I'm hoping that it doesn't totally change levels on me and I have to go back through everything. So, you know, I'm just gonna, you know, take screenshots of this video and jot down these new settings. And I really only slid one thing over, but just to make sure that nothing else got changed the next time I boot it up. And, I mean, this is really pretty much it. This is what you get after you install it and you set it up and you adjust it. So you gotta go through the growing pains of setting it up. And you know, you're not going to be able to read LED text on your heads-up display, on your, you know, display monitors in any plane. So I'm just going to go through here and I'm going to scroll through my settings for you. I'm going to do it more than once, but so you can take screenshots or you can write it down, whatever you like, for these settings in particular. And you're probably going to find yourself tweaking these to your liking, but at least I'm giving them to you. So, you know, make sure you got your monitor full up and, you know, on full scale, not just on a little window, so you can actually see what they are. And I'm going to save this video in 1080p, and we'll see, you know, how distorted it gets as it gets processed and reprocessed and uploaded through YouTube and, you know, my video compression software and everything. But you should be able to read this stuff pretty crisp, hopefully. So just go ahead and, you know, take a look at these settings, and if you have to, pause the video. You know, but these are the settings that I have, and these are the levels that I have for each effect. And, I mean, that's what we're going to have. So that's not bad. That's kind of nice, right? And so you'll also see, so that's my, you know, that's the title of the preset that I had, second night vision. I'm just showing you the different tabs, some of the different tabs, and I'm not going to mess with anything. But this is to set your hotkeys. You see I set mine to delete, to turn the effect, to toggle it off and on. Now you want to set this key, because this Reshade program automatically launches when you load the sim, and I guess you could load like a blank one to start, and that way you wouldn't have to hit the delete key, and that's probably what I'm going to do next. You know, and I'm just going to have this, and so for the next effect I'm going to have shift and insert. You know, I'm just trying to pick keys that aren't bound to controls of the sim. And, you know, this is pretty much it. You set up your keys, and as long as they don't conflict with something in the sim on the keyboard, you can use them. And you can always go back to this window and change it in flight, you know, which you're going to have to make the, you know, adjustments anyways. So, I mean, this is it, guys. And there you go with it off. And let's go back to it on. So, thanks for watching Derp Your Hooves, and I know it's not really a concise tutorial, but I hope it's enough to help out some of you guys that are interested in getting this going, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the skies.